Hey, welcome into Mornings on Main Street, Southern Middle Tennessee, the weekly show that highlights what's happening in Giles, Lawrence, and Maury counties by looking at the pages of your local newspapers. I'm Scott Stewart. I'm the publisher of the Lawrence County Advocate, Pulaski Citizen, and Main Street Maury. We've got some special features this week in all three of our Southern Middle Tennessee newspapers. Health and wellness specials in the Pulaski Citizen and in Main Street Maury. And the Lawrence County Advocate has its back to school pages this week. Did you know that all of our papers and special sections are available every week as e-editions, that's electronic editions on our website? A lot of people still enjoy the feel of that newspaper every week. And that's great. We love that. That's why we still print the traditional editions. But there are those who would like to get their newspapers on their website, on their phone, on their tablet, and that's available to you through our websites. And we want to get that to our communities as many ways as possible. So if that's what you prefer, we have that available to you. You can subscribe to your local paper's e-edition and or your local paper's traditional edition and get breaking news as it happens through our websites and our social media. So check us out in those ways. We invite you to visit lawrencecountyadvocate.net, mainstreetmaury.com, and pulaskicitizen.com for all the information that you need for a subscription. Now, let's get this week's wraps started with the Lawrence County Advocate wrap. There's so much to see in this week's Lawrence County Advocate that we couldn't even fit it all into one section, so we're giving you two. On page 1, Sandy Mashburn brings us a story of a suspicious device that was found down near the state line, and regional and local authorities all got together and were able to render that device safe. Sandy also has information from back-to-back sawmill fires that the local firefighters had to battle up in northern Lawrence County. In Lawrenceburg, we've got an article by Carrie Staggs highlighting the newly renovated Lawrenceburg Technical College right there at Locust and First Street. Don't forget that early voting for the August election, that ends Saturday. This is Saturday, July 27th. So early voting ends the 27th. And we have an article about the school board implementing new cell phone guidelines for their schools. All of that on the front page. And then moving inside, local Girl Scouts enjoyed a twilight camp recently. Summertown Utility has requested voluntary water restrictions. Loretta Utility announces new charges, and card skimmers have been discovered at local stores. As always, the Advocate has town crier community events, several auction notices this week. We got local government notices, and we always want to know what's going on with our local governments. We got local obituary announcements, local church directory, puzzles and games, all that and more, including sports. In sports, former Summertown standout Grant Burleson has been selected by Major League Baseball's Houston Astros. Lawrence County High School soccer player Daniel Story has signed with UT Southern. And Mr. Mike Noblet has sent us a history of the old District 21 basketball. He's got some photos and a really good story by Mr. Noblet, so we appreciate him sending that in. Also inside, starting today, is the 2024 James D. Vaughn Quartet Festival here in Lawrenceburg. Find out who and when in the article in this week's paper. By the way, the where on that is Crockett, the historic Crockett Theater. We've got a feature this week on Market Day at the farm. We got an article on Care for Critters. They are seeking fundraising. They're trying to raise funds, and they've got an event set for September, but they'll take some fundraising right now to help take care of our little furry friends. Local students are experiencing continued academic success. Hojo Photos brings us a photo from Mr. Johnston of a family of geese, and it's a beautiful photo right there inside the paper. We've got 3 pages of back to school information, and there's just so much more than that. That's a lot right there, but there's so much more. Pick up your copy of the Lawrence County Advocate at more than 100 stores across Lawrence County. Or you can sign up for a subscription at 931-762-1726. We'll be right back after this.
Piggly Wiggly, located in Neely's Mill Shopping Center, is Columbia's locally owned and operated Cost Plus 10 grocery store dedicated to serving the community with low prices and smiling faces. Piggly Wiggly offers fresh, hand-cut meats daily as well as daily hot plate lunches from their deli counter. You're certain to see smiling faces and a helping hand when you're here at Piggly Wiggly. Come by and check out our fresh produce, high-quality meats, and more. Down home, down the street, we'll see you at the Pig.
Having a good, confident smile and being able to portray that positivity to others is really helpful.
A professional family atmosphere is what we get every time we come here.
Our hygienists do a better job at kind of assessing mouths and coming up with plans than most dentists do.
They're very kind and they're very aware of other people.
I think if there's things that I would want you to leave here with, I want you to feel like you were heard, that we listened to you, and I want you to feel like that your concerns were addressed.
Whether you're an athlete or a weekend warrior, when it comes to your performance, don't settle for anything less than excellence. We're proud to announce that Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint Clinic is now Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia, where we are redefining sports medicine and orthopedics. Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance's team of expert sports medicine physicians understands the unique demands of your body. TOA Columbia specializes in personalized orthopedic care, offering state-of-the-art treatments for everything from sports injuries to joint replacements. Learn more at toacolumbia.com.
Nashville Sounds Baseball is back in Hit City for the 2024 season. Spend your nights and weekends at the ballpark with weekly giveaways, fireworks shows, throwback deals, live music, and more. Top talent will take the field at First Horizon Park against the AAA Minnesota Twins, Baltimore Orioles, Atlanta Braves, St. Louis Cardinals, Cincinnati Reds, and more. Tickets start at just $10 and are available now at NashvilleSounds.com. We will see you in Hit City.
In the Pulaski Citizen Wrap this week, Patton Shane Bauer is our Citizen Spotlight this week. He claims that spot of honor right there at the top and center of the front page. You can find out more about Patton in an article inside this week's paper. Leading the way on the front page of the Citizen this week is the Giles County Commission, and they handled a lot of business last week, including the decision to build a new E911 building separate from the ambulance service building that's going to be built down at the Agri Park. There's a complete recap of last week's meeting on A1. Also on the front page are photos from last week's Linville Blackberry Festival this past weekend. And there's also a peek at our special health and wellness section, and you will find that inside this week's edition. Also inside, it's Realtors Week, so make sure you check out our listings. The school board has received some interest in the school board central office property, and they're dealing with that. DA Brent Cooper has issued a warning about some products from a Giles County vape shop. Very disturbing images coming out of that. We can't even share those with you in the paper, but you need to find out more from about that in our story inside this week's edition. As always, in the Pulaski Citizen, we have local obituaries, local government notices, several auction and estate sale notices. We got backward glances, property transfers. We got sample ballots for the August election. We've got community briefs, local church directory, weather from our friends over at Tennessee Valley Weather, and Duke is our pet of the week. Johnny Phelps Giles Pass highlights the Poplar Hill community. The Giles County Historical Society's quarterly meeting is this Sunday and will feature author Paul Clements in his book, Tell Them We Were Running. Well, there's a whole lot more in the Pulaski Citizen this week, including sports. Wade Neely, our sports editor, is going to tell us all about it right now.
Hey folks, Wade Neely here, sports editor at the Pulaski Citizen. Time for a look at what's in print and online this week for another jam-packed edition of the Pulaski Citizen. Olympics, Olympics, Olympics. That's the theme of our Pulaski Citizen this week, as our local university, UT Southern, has a current former student athlete competing in her second Olympics, serving as our feature story. And then for an extra story, we kind of break down the Olympic history, kind of the pedigree, if you will, of all of our Olympians that have competed once again at our local university. So we'll kick things off with the now, if you will, as Waleska Soto, a former Martin Methodist College softball player, will compete in her second straight Olympics in the sport of shooting. She came to us from Guatemala, And shortly after arriving in Martin Methodist Red and Black, she discovered that softball was going to be discontinued at the Olympics, but not to worry. Waleska picked up her gun, literally, and joined the Martin Methodist College clay target team. And then she qualified for the Tokyo 2020 games and is now heading back to the Paris games, which kick off later this week. Not only is she competing, but she will serve as the flag bearer for her native Guatemala. So we caught up with Wally, had a good chat with her as she has been overseas for about the last month getting ready for the upcoming Olympics. So a full feature on her. But then we also wanted to tap into the history of the Olympics at Martin Methodist College, as Wally is now the third all-time alumni to compete on the Olympic stage from Martin Methodist College. And so we had a real fun kind of history lesson to lay out in print for everybody, as Wally competed, as I mentioned, in 24 and 20, but also her teammate from that clay target team, a Waterford, Wisconsin native, Madeline Bernal. She not only competed, but she medaled for the Team USA shooting team during the Tokyo 20 games, which were pushed back, of course, to 2021 due to the COVID-19 pandemic. But they are not the only alumni to compete, or not even the only alumni to medal, as former Martin Methodist College volleyball coach Rose Powell. Yes, she never played at Martin Methodist, but she did graduate from Martin Methodist, as Rose Powell was a standout at the University of Houston in the late 70s, early 80s. She goes on and collects a silver medal at the 1984 games for Team USA. And then years later, as she is named the Martin Methodist College volleyball coach, rewriting the history books, she also received her degree in 2000. So that was a really fun kind of historical piece there as we walk everybody through the history of the Olympic pedigree at Martin Methodist College, now known as UT Southern. So if you're looking for Olympic coverage here in Pulaski, we've got you covered. We also have words from our good friend, as always, Larry Woody, breaking you all things from indoors and outdoors, primarily outdoors, as Larry has another column for us this week. So if you missed any of that in print, you can catch it out online, as always, at PulaskiCitizen.com. Later in next week, as we roll into the final few days of the month of July, we will start tiptoeing into the world of high school football. We will start getting into the world of fall sports, but a lot to tap into this week. Make sure you check it out once again in print or online at PulaskiCitizen.com. Wade Neely saying so long for now.
Piggly Wiggly, located in Neely's Mill Shopping Center, is Columbia's locally owned and operated Cost Plus 10 grocery store dedicated to serving the community with low prices and smiling faces. Piggly Wiggly offers fresh, hand-cut meats daily, as well as daily hot plate lunches from their deli counter. You're certain to see smiling faces and a helping hand when you're here at Piggly Wiggly. Come by and check out our fresh produce, high-quality meats, and more. Down home, down the street, we'll see you at the Pig.
They have always met wildest expectations as far as taking care of my teeth and my health. You know, teeth health is very important now to your heart. And I told him one day, I said, I'd love to have nice teeth and nice hair. And he said, well, I can take care of the teeth, but I can't take care of the hair. And I said, you can make my teeth? He said, yeah. I said, well, let's go for it. And he did. And I have been tremendously pleased. Dr. Hart, if you need him at night, he's here. This staff here will take care of you 24/7. You don't have to worry about, I can't get a hold of my dentist, my tooth's hurting. No, they will be here for you. And if I could get Dr. Hart to take that same artistry that he has and grow hair, then he would be double rich.
Nashville Sounds Baseball is back in Hit City for the 2024 season. Spend your nights and weekends at the ballpark with weekly giveaways, fireworks shows, throwback deals, live music, and more. Top talent will take the field at First Horizon Park against the AAA Minnesota Twins, Baltimore Orioles, Atlanta Braves, St. Louis Cardinals, Cincinnati Reds, and more. Tickets start at just $10 and are available now at NashvilleSounds.com. We will see you in Hit City.
Hello, race fans, and welcome to Nashville Super Speedway. That's right, guitars and fast cars right here in Music City. This summer, NASCAR is back at the Nashville Superspeedway. Get your tickets now to watch your favorite driver take on the 1.33 miles of concrete chaos. Visit NashvilleSuperspeedway.com to lock in your spot June 28th through the 30th for the Ally 400 race weekend.
Main Street Murray this week starts on page 1 with a photo and recap of the recent Maury County's Sheriff's Rodeo. So don't miss that. There's an article introducing Mount Pleasant's new city manager. The Spring Station chapter of the General Federation of Women's Clubs has received the Jenny Award, a top national award. Find out all about that right there on page 1. The Maury County Commission chooses Steve Hewlett to manage construction projects, and the annual State of the City address was held at Spring Hill last week. So we got all of that information as well. Inside this week's Main Street Maury is a 2-page highlight of the health and wellness pages inside Main Street Maury this week. Piggly Wiggly down at Neely's Mill Shops is sharing the second big week of their summer mega meat sale, only in the pages of your local newspaper, Main Street Maury. Local obituary announcements. The pet of the week is this week. Tennessee Valley weather forecast. As usual, tons of local community events. We've got local government notices. Always need to make sure what's going on with our local governments. Comics and puzzles. Local church directory, and several auction announcements also in this week's Main Street Maury. The state comptroller has rejected Spring Hill's budget. You can find out why and what happens next inside this week's edition. And Spring Hill planners gave their okay for a bond for the August Park development. Meet District 64 candidate Eileen Longstreet this week. Maury County planners give their approval of a concept plan for Ragin Ridge, and the Columbia Peace and Justice Initiative will be hosting an evening with civil rights activist Fred Gray in September. So make sure you check that out because you're probably going to want to get your tickets. Also, Mule Day organizers announced the recipients of their first scholarship. Hey, Spring Hill, don't forget that voting for the Spring Hill Main Street Awards is underway right now. City of Columbia officials broke ground for the new $97.5 million wastewater treatment plant as well. Okay, I got to stop right there. There's still a whole bunch more that I didn't talk about in this week's edition of Main Street Maury. And I got to save a little time for my man Mo, who has all of our sports information this week. Let's see what Mo has to say about sports.
Hey, I'm Maurice Patton, sports editor at Main Street Maury. And as we move toward high school football, if you can believe it, it was a little slow around the county this week and in this week's print edition of Main Street Maury, but we did catch up with a couple of local athletes who heard their names in the recent Major League Baseball draft. Kavaris Tears, who played his ball at Columbia Academy, went on to play at the University of Tennessee. You've heard his name a lot over the last few weeks here, and you're hearing it again because he was picked in the 4th round by the San Diego Padres. We caught up with him last week. We've got some of his thoughts as he gets set to pursue a professional career following that. Also, Grant Burleson from Summertown, who played at Columbia State and then at Western Kentucky, was drafted in the 18th round by the Houston Astros. We've got coverage of that as well. And Grant has actually signed with the Astros. So congratulations to him for getting that done. Kavaris working through that process as we speak, and we'll keep you updated on both of those. Also in the print edition this week, we've got coverage of the Columbia American 12-year-old Little League team. You're familiar with the 12-year-olds because you see them every year in the Little League World Series that is broadcast on ESPN over about a 2-week period. Well, the Columbia American team was pursuing one of those spots in Williamsport, Pennsylvania. But they fell in the losers bracket final tournament up in Clarksville last week, falling to the host Clarksville national team. We've got coverage of that as well in this week's print edition of Main Street Maury. So be sure and pick one of those up online this week. And coming up in print next week, we mentioned Columbia State baseball a second ago. Checked in with Desi Ammons. They are sending 12 guys on to 4-year baseball for the upcoming school year. We checked in on who some of those guys are and where they will be going. So we'll have some coverage of that. Also, you may or may not be aware, but if you are a high school wrestling fan, you've heard the name Fargo. There is a big national tournament that goes on every summer up there, and we've had a couple of kids that did pretty well up there. So we'll be catching up with their performance as well here online over the next few days and in print next week in Main Street Maury. So again, be sure and check out the website, mainstreetmaury.com, to keep up with all of our local sports, and be sure and check out next week's print edition of Main Street Maury. Again, as we continue toward high school fall sports season, it's right around the corner, and we'll have you covered with that as well. Got our fall sports preview coming up here in a few weeks that will be folded into the print edition, so be sure and look out for that. I believe that'll be in our August 21st edition. So, hey, thanks for joining us. We'll see you.
From the Tennessee Valley Weather Channel, this is your weather today.
Well, happy hump day, folks. Ben Luna here with you in the Tennessee Valley Weather Center, wishing you a happy Wednesday as you check out this forecast update. This morning, it's been made possible as a service of our good friend Scott Beasley down at Beasley Wealth Management in Lawrenceburg. We have a very, very soggy weather pattern in place here for the next few days. We're going to cover that for you. And then we'll also talk about a warming trend as well that's found its way back to the Tennessee Valley. All of those details and more right here in this Wednesday edition of Your Weather Today. Let's hop right into it. As always, satellite and radar over the past 24 hours getting us started out. And, well, notice that big old stalled out boundary across the southeast. That is continuing to be a catalyst for moisture flying into our region, and will continue to do so for today, tomorrow, and Friday, as that's going to be reinforced by a cold front that's going to be dipping in from the north. I'll show you that in a second. Here's a look at Futurecast as you step through today. Notice plenty of moisture in place across the area, leading into a few little thunder showers here and there across the area. Could see some downpours. That's completely a possibility. And one or two storms might want to produce some gusty wind as well. But largely this is going to be a rain-driven event where some folks might contend with some flash flooding. Hard to believe. I know, since we have had, pretty stout drought conditions here over the past several days. Now we're going to continue to see that flow of moisture work its way across the region heading into this evening. And then that's still going to be present here on and off as we look ahead to Thursday and again on Friday as a reinforcer of moisture arrives here in the form of that cold front late Thursday and into Friday. And that'll maintain that decent rain chance for us across the Tennessee Valley region. Now, past that point, we're going to revert back into that typical summertime pattern of those pop-up backyard storms, and we're going to add a little bit more heat to the forecast as well as we get closer into the weekend and for the first of next week. Here's the breakdown for today, though. This is the Parks Lumber Day Builder forecast. Temperatures not too terribly bad. We'll be in the ballpark of 80, 81, 82, give or take your location for today's average high across the region. Now, for tomorrow, more of the same, but notice we're adding temps a little higher each day. That's because we're going to fall into that warming trend as we roll toward the coming work week, and that's when we could return to the 90s. In fact, some folks in North Alabama might actually be a smidgen warmer toward the mid-90s, beginning for the latter part of the weekend and then early next week. Showers and storms here in decent number through Friday. Here's where we return to that summertime pattern for the weekend that'll follow us into next week as well. Temperatures also warmer, looking at the downrange part of the 7-day forecast. Again, 88, 89 might turn into 91 to 93 in parts of North Alabama for Sunday and Monday. And then everyone sees the 90s back here by Tuesday. Kelly Rawson is here at noon today, and Fred Gossage at 5 o'clock on the Tennessee Valley Weather Channel.
Well, that's what's in store for you this week when you pick up your Lawrence County Advocate, Main Street Maury, or Pulaski Citizen. Well, actually, there's more. As I told you, in every one of those, there's still more than what I told you about. Don't miss a single word of your local newspaper. Get an online or traditional subscription today, the Pulaski Citizen, Main Street Maury, and Lawrence County Advocate. You can go to PulaskiCitizen.com, MainStreetMaury.com, LawrenceCountyAdvocate.net to sign up for any or all of our newspapers. You can also call 931-363-3544 or 931-762-1726 to subscribe to any of our local newspapers as well. So thank you for always trusting us here at your local newspaper, the Pulaski Citizen, the Lawrence County Advocate, and Main Street Maury. We do not take your trust for granted. And good Lord willing, we'll be right back here next week.